by 2031, in less than 7 years, 100% of tax revenue will go just to pay the interest on the debt and the mandatory entitlement programs, like the $99.5 trillion shortfall in Medicare, the $77 trillion shortfall in Social Security. And when you realize that military spending is a discretional line item on the budget, that means that we will have to borrow money to fund our military. How do we maintain our status as the leader of the free world and financially and militarily when we have to borrow money just to fund the military? It ain't going to happen. That's before the 12 million people came in here. Who's going to pay for them? Their schooling, their housing, their food, their medical. They are overwhelming the system and creating a system that will break, ushering in universal basic income, especially in the big cities, which are becoming nightmares. Throw into it the impending commercial real estate issue, and it gets a whole lot worse.
In a recent speech, Andy Schectman highlights alarming projections for the U.S. economy, forecasting a bleak future where trillions vanish from our fiscal landscape. With an impending $99.5 trillion shortfall in Medicare and a $77 trillion gap in Social Security, coupled with a staggering increase in national debt, Schectman warns of dire consequences. He points out the unsustainable trajectory where tax revenue may solely serve interest payments and mandatory entitlements by 2041.
So I have no faith in the U.S. dollar holding its value, where our debt is going up. We're printing money to pay our bills. That's like using a credit card to pay your mortgage. You know, I mean, it doesn't make any sense at all. And that's why there's no financial education in our schools. But that's why most school teachers are Marxist. And one of the things that Marx said was that taxation is essential for the spread of communism. But also, was a guy named Thomas Jefferson way back when. He says, if we install a central bank, which the Fed is, and the Bank of Japan and all these guys, our people will wake up homeless. And homelessness is expanding. And this, what I'm trying to say to people, this is not a mistake. And if you're saving dollars, exactly as Michael Saylor says, if you're saving fiat currency, like the yen, the euro, the peso, you're called a poor person. You're getting poorer and poorer because your education hasn't kept up with the times. And that's a problem with going to school where Marxists teach the education. So who was Obama's classmate at Columbia?
I don't know if they were classmates, but Jared Bernstein went there as well. And if you Google Jared Bernstein, Cloward Piven theory, you'll see there's a gazillion articles. He supports it. And Jared Bernstein is the lead economic advisor of the United States government who advocates for losing the reserve status. What better way to lose the reserve status than to tell Saudi Arabia, the linchpin of it, and OPEC, hey, we're going green. Look, I want a clean world too. But to go and say that to Saudi Arabia means you are threatening the existence of the petrodollar, and then sanction and weaponize and even confiscate foreign reserves and tell other people you can do this, but you can't. Look, we invaded Iraq 20 years ago. We're still occupying their country, sanctioning 14 of their banks and holding their oil revenue. They asked us for $1 billion out of the $95 billion in oil revenue that they made last year that's held at the New York Fed. We said, that's not a good time. So what have they done? Formally applied to BRICS. They're kicking Western coalition forces out of the country, made trading in dollars illegal. If you own a business and trade in it in Iraq, you will go to jail and they'll take your company. And as of January of this year, they got rid of all green bills, $100 bills. They're out of every bank in Iraq. We are viewed as hypocritical. We can do it. You can't. And if you don't like it, if we're not on our side ideologically, we're going to confiscate your Forex reserves. This is why they're all selling treasuries and buying gold, because it has no counterparty risk.
Andy Schectman delves deeper and emphasizes the intrinsic value of these assets, particularly silver, which he deems as the trade of a generation. Schectman draws attention to the disparity between the demand for silver, especially in high-tech industries like aerospace and defense, and its undervaluation in the market. He raises thought-provoking questions about the role of commercial banks in suppressing silver prices and speculates on the connection between this suppression and funding for the military-industrial complex.
So counterparty risk means there's gold is money, silver is money. Of the two, just to keep people happy, you have gold, silver. I have silver eagles and gold eagles. Which which do you, I mean, I think silver is the best buy simply because a person can afford it. It's about $30 today, US. This is 2024. But Bitcoin, you can get a Satoshi or whatever that is, Japanese name. But people are still insisting on saving fake money, fiat currency. That's why I wrote the book Fake, and people are getting poorer and poorer in America because most of our school teachers are Marxist, and they hate the rich. That's why they're going after Trump. They hate him because he's a rich man. He's charged for doing what every real estate investor does. We pad our financials. We say this is how much this building is worth and all this. And as my rich dad said to me a long time ago, he says, so we fill out the financial statements. He says, the difference between your lies and my lies are my lies come true. And so what Trump did, he kind of lied on his financial statement, but it came true. He paid everybody back. But now they're going to take down the former president of the United States just so that guys like Biden, the FBI can't find his laptop. Give me a break. And what about, isn't Biden receiving money from Russia, Ukraine, and China?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a complete and total joke. Don't forget about the cocaine that they destroyed without checking the fingerprints or any of the. I mean, the whole thing is a joke. It's a complete and total joke. I live not too far from Mar-a-Lago, and Sylvester Stallone just bought a house there for $30 million on Palm Beach, and they're trying, and it's a fraction of the size of Mar-a-Lago, and Mar-a-Lago is a much better piece of property. They're saying it's 18 million, not the value. I mean, the whole thing is just a joke. It's really a joke, and it's an embarrassment to this country. It's embarrassment to a guy like you who risked his life fighting for a country that held a higher moral ground than the rest of the world. I find it to be more repugnant than anything we've done mismanaging the world reserve currency. It's what we are doing to the reputation, to liberty, to the reputation of a country that was once the beacon of light around the world. And now people are saying, what the hell has gone on? And your question about what is better. Yeah, I mean, Satoshi is what you're talking about. You can buy little pieces of Bitcoin. Sure, it's great. People can own it and hold it in their own possession off the exchange, no counterparty risk. In terms of gold and silver, look, if I had one trade, it might be gold only because it was reclassified the world's only other tier one asset by the Bank of International Settlements, which is the most powerful bank on the planet. Yet, I think silver is the trade of a generation. If I had two trades, I'd buy silver, maybe with the intention of down the road when the ratio between the two correct, trading it back into gold. Interesting thing about silver I'd like to mention, the Silver Institute came out with their numbers recently and said 185 million ounce shortfall this year, over 200 million last year. But in it, it's very conspicuous. They do not mention silver in the military industrial complex at all. No, there is no military breakout. 2 years ago, I gave a speech in Vancouver, the same place I saw you last time at Jay Martin's Vancouver Resource Investment Conference, one of the best, one of only two I go to, conferences all year. Everyone should check him out. He's a mutual friend of ours and a great dude. And in it, I said, there's 500 ounces in a Tomahawk cruise missile. And a guy came up to me. He sent me this cup. He says, I work for the Department of Defense, and I actually helped design the Patriot missile. And I know there's silver in it. I just don't know how much. Well, last time we were there, when I saw you last, he came up to me after my last speech, and he said, you know what? You were right. There's about 14 to 15 kilograms in the tip of a Tomahawk. And he showed me all sorts of pictures, said, don't worry, this is all declassified. And we talked for an hour. He texted me a couple days ago. I got to get back to him and talk some more because they didn't list it in any of the supply-demand fundamentals. So when you think of all the missiles, high-tech missiles, not just Tomahawks and aerospace, that need silver, and ask yourself, why would a commercial bank like Bank of America be short 1 billion ounces, naked short of silver? Why was JP Morgan so short? Why did JP Morgan pay a $920 million fine for suppressing the market and is still allowed to be the custodian of the world's largest silver trust? The largest fine the Justice Department ever issued, and yet they're still allowed to do it. The point of it is the military industrial complex holding the price of silver down so they can create all of these high-tech weapons to sell all around the world, to fund the continuation of war all around the world? Could it be that simple? I don't know, but ask yourself, If indeed it was confirmed by this gentleman, a DOD consultant who said, yes, there is that much in a Tomahawk, think of all the missiles and ask yourself, why is it not in the supply-demand fundamentals? And then ask yourself, why would a handful of commercial banks hold the largest concentrated short position in any commodity traded on COMEX found in silver? It makes no sense until you just take a step back and say, could that be it? Fine line between conspiracy and reality. I'll let you all decide. But in my mind, absolutely why they are allowing these commercial banks to suppress silver in order to fund the military-industrial complex's efforts. And who is the military-industrial complex? I don't know. Is it BlackRock and Vanguard? They own everything, including the ETFs. Could it be them? Maybe. Don't know. I'll let you all decide.
Today, we've journeyed through a wealth of insights with Andy Schectman, uncovering critical aspects of the economic landscape. From looming debt crises to the undervaluation of precious metals, each revelation paints a vivid picture of the challenges ahead. We've explored the implications of unchecked spending, the role of precious metals in preserving wealth, and even delved into the intricacies of silver's suppression and its potential ties to the military-industrial complex. As we conclude, I want to extend my gratitude to you, our valued viewers, for joining us on this journey.